Pacific number 844, the living legend, brought to Union Pacific in 1944, topping out at a speed of 110 miles an hour. Oh, come on, we can do better than that. Hard on the track on my right, the latest steam locomotive to join the Union Pacific family, the big one, Union Pacific 4014, all 1.2 million pounds, 7,000 horsepower of steel and fire waiting down the track. So let's get started on why we're here today.
Union Pacific Lance Fritz calling Union Pacific Big Boy number 4014. Over. Union Pacific 4014 responding to Chairman Lance Fritz. Come in, over. I'm in position in front of your locomotive. We're ready for you to make a move. Are you ready? Over. UP 4014 is ready to proceed. Chairman Fritz, over. Union Pacific 4014. Take them ahead. Over. Understood. Here we come. Union Pacific coming ahead. Here we come, sir.
And it kind of looks like a cappuccino. Roger, look behind you.
Wow. Yeah, big boy!
Okay, now that our star is here and the stage is set, I have a few more special guests I'd like to come up to the stage with us. First off, please welcome the 17th Governor of the great state of Utah, Governor Gary Herbert. From Utah's 1st District, right here in Ogden, Congressman Rob Bishop. Next, we have Sandy Dodge, who is the great-great-nephew of General Grenville Dodge, who became Union Pacific's chief engineer during the great construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. And also Margaret Yee, whose great-great-grandfather was a chef for the Central Pacific Chinese track gangs. It was one of these gangs who set a record for laying 10 miles of track in a single day, a record that still stands today 150 years later. To both Sandy and Margaret, we can't underestimate the impact that your ancestors had on getting us here to the day. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Chairman Fritz for the additional comments.
Thank you very much, Scott. You know, today is 150 years in the making. It's the culmination of what we learned as school children in our history class, the connecting of East and West. It goes all the way back to 1862. President Abraham Lincoln signs into existence the Union Pacific Railroad at one of the darkest moments in our nation's history. And his vision is that we're going to stitch the country together. We're going to have the Union Pacific building west from the Missouri. And we're going to have the Central Pacific building east from the banks of the American River to downtown Sacramento. And they will meet and they will create one united nation. That story was about the visionaries that saw what this Transcontinental Railroad would do. It's about the workforce, the laborers working 12, 14, 16-hour days in the most brutal, punishing conditions to build this railroad virtually by hand. It's about our First Nations whose lives and cultures were changed forever. And it's about the communities that were created, communities like Ogden, that initially might have been a water stop or a way along a journey, and ultimately became economic engines in their own right. You know, the wedding of the railroads happened just 40 miles northwest of here on May 10th, 1869, and it changed America forever. Travel that took 6 months to go from New York to San Francisco at the risk of your life literally turned into a 10-day excursion in relative comfort. Global trade changed forever. Our diets changed forever. What we thought was possible changed forever. And while that connection was finally complete, and it was the culmination of years of hard work, the journey really was only beginning. The creator of the famous golden spike knew that better than all, as he inscribed on that famous spike a prayer that's as purposeful today as it was in 1869. May God continue the unity of our country like this railroad unites the two great oceans of this world. That's a hope that stands the test of time. It still matters today.
Okay, one last thing. You know, we're going to close this event today the same way we closed that epic day 150 years ago tomorrow. Then, they used a state-of-the-art communication technique in the telegraph as they telegraphed to the country the completion. At 2:27 p.m. that day, a telegraph from Promontory. Almost ready. Hats off. Prayers being offered. Chicago replies, we understand. All is ready in the east. At 2:47, the telegraph from Promontory was the simple word done. So please join me in using today's modern state-of-the-art communication and share your location that you're here today by using whatever social media channel you use and tagging this moment #done.
Herbert. Lance Fritz, will you please come forward and assist in driving the spike? Thank you, Mr. Fritz. F. Ross Peterson, will you come forward and give the spike a tap? Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the Utah Copper Spike.
And that, like so much else in America, today and always, is a matter of opinion. I, for one, would rather be dealing with Facebook than Fort Sumter. Wouldn't you? Let's not indulge ourselves in the narcissism of the present and act as though our problems are more insuperable than anything that ever confronted any previous generation. The problems that were overcome to create a nation where, for all our ferocity, what George Washington called the sacred fire of liberty still burns here. And for all of our unhappiness, what is our immigration issue in this country? Our immigration issue is that people want to come here. As Ronald Reagan said, they are all the pilgrims from all the lost places who are hurtling through the darkness toward home. If Americans want to know what is possible, come here. If they want to know what can happen when government and the private sector cooperate rather than clash, come here.
The officials of both railroads, the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific, I bid you welcome. We are met today to commemorate the completion of a project, which is a remarkable example of the vision, the determination, and the labor of thousands of men in the Union, which this day shall be consummated forever. We are assembled here to link the ends of the earth, to join the raw riches of the American West with the finished products of the industrial East. We also met this day with mixed emotion, with joy that in a combined effort and a common cause, the brains, the sweat, and the muscle of thousands of men have joined together under the guidance of Almighty God. But it is with profound sorrow that we remember and pay homage to the hundreds of men who gave their lives that we might stand here at this moment and share one with another this sacred occasion. Among those whose presence we are honored to acknowledge at this time include a number of railroad officials from both lines, in addition to those taking part in the ceremony. We also take pride in the presence of the 21st Infantry Band. They are under the command of Major Milton Cott as well. We take pride in the presence of many great newspapers from our country. Among those dignitaries present include Bishop John Sharp, the Railroad Bishop representing Governor Brigham Young. We also have Mayor Lauren Farr of Ogden. The beautifully uniformed band is from the Mormon 10th Ward from Salt Lake City. And now, to unite us in thanks to our Creator, may I introduce a man who has traveled many weary miles to be with us today. He is the Reverend John Todd from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Reverend Todd.
From Promontory to the country. Bulletin, already now, hats off, prayer is being offered.
Our Father in God, and our Father's God, God of creation and God of providence, Thou hast created the heavens and the earth. Thou hast also created all those who have been here and participated in this program. We give thanks for all the blessings that Thou hast given us, Father. And we ask Thy blessings to be upon us here assembled, and upon Thy people everywhere, that peace may flow unto us as a gentle stream, and that this mighty enterprise may be unto us as the Atlantic of Thy strength and the Pacific of Thy love, through Jesus the Redeemer. Amen.
Promontory to the country, we have got done praying. The spike is about to be presented.
Thank you, Reverend Todd. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce a fellow resident of Sacramento, Dr. H.W. Harkness, who will present 2 railroad spikes to Dr. Thomas C. Durant of the Union Pacific Railroad and Governor Leland Stanford of the Central Pacific Railroad. Dr. Durant and Governor Stanford will then place these spikes into holes that have already been drilled in the Laurelwood tie. But these are not ordinary spikes. Ladies and gentlemen, these are golden spikes made from pure California gold. Dr. Harkness.
Gentlemen of the Pacific Railroad, and those of you who have met with us, the last spike needed to unite the Atlantic and the Pacific by a new line of trade and commerce is about to be driven to its place. To perform this act, the East and the West have come together. Never since history commenced her record of human events has man been called upon to meet the completion of a work so magnificent in contemplation and so marvelous in execution. California, within whose borders and by whose citizens the Pacific Railroad was inaugurated, desires to express her appreciation of the vast importance to her and her sister states of the great enterprise which by joint action is about to be consummated. From her mines of gold has been forged a spike. From her laurelwoods has been hewn a tie. And by the hands of her citizens, she offers them to become part of this great highway which is about to unite her in closer fellowship with her sisters of the Atlantic. From her bosom was taken the first soil. Let hers be the last tie and the last spike. And with them, accept the hopes and wishes of her people, that the success of your enterprise will not stop short of its brightest promise. This spike was donated by Mr. Frank Marriott, publisher of the San Francisco newsletter. And in conclusion, I should like to draw your attention to this spike. The gift of David Hughes of San Francisco. On its head is inscribed the last spike. On 3 sides, the names of railroad officials. And on the 4th side, this sentence. May God continue the unity of our country as this railroad unites the 2 great oceans of the world. Dr. Grant? Absolutely beautiful. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. F.A. Tritle, United States Railroad Commissioner and candidate for governor of the great state of Nevada. He will present a spike of pure silver from the famed Comstock lode on behalf of the people of Nevada. Mr. Tritle.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. To the iron of the East and the gold of the West, Nevada adds her link of silver to span the continent and wed the oceans.
We are highly honored today with the presence of the Honorable Anson P.K. Safford, who is en route to Arizona as the newly appointed territorial governor. He was kind enough to delay his journey in order to make a presentation on behalf of the Arizona Territory. Governor Safford.
Ribbed with iron, clad in silver, and crowned with gold, Arizona presents her offering that has banded the continent and directed the pathway to commerce.
And now, friends, it is not only my duty, but my honor and privilege to introduce a man of vision, a man of courage, a humanitarian, and one who is highly esteemed by those of us who call him our friend. He is a Californian whose farsightedness has contributed in large measure to the success of this great enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Central Pacific Railroad, Governor Leland Stanford.
Gentlemen, the Pacific Railroad companies accept with pride and satisfaction these gold and silver tokens of your appreciation of the importance of our enterprise to the material riches of the whole country, north, south, east, and west. These gifts shall receive a fitting place in the superstructure of our road. But before driving the last spike in the completion of the Pacific Railroad, allow me to express the hope that the great importance which you are pleased to attach to our undertaking may be in every respect fully realized. This line of rails connecting Atlantic and Pacific and affording to commerce a new transit will prove, we trust, the speedy forerunner of increased facilities. The day is not far distant when 3 tracks shall be found necessary to accommodate the commerce and travel which shall seek transit across this continent. Freight will move only in one way on each track, granting the demands of cheapness and time. In conclusion, I might add, we hope to do ultimately that which is now impossible on long lines, transport coarse, heavy, and cheap products at living rates to the trade.
Thank you, Governor Stanford, for your astute and timely remarks. We regret that Dr. Durant is suffering from a severe headache and has temporarily retired to his quarters. In his absence, and in the absence of the President of the Union Pacific Railroad, Mr. Oliver Ames, we have asked General Grenville Dodge, Chief Engineer, to represent his railroad with a few remarks.
Mr. Mills, thank you. Gentlemen, the great senator from Missouri, Thomas Hart Benton, proposes someday a giant statue of Columbus should be erected on the highest peak of the Rocky Mountains, pointing westward, denoting this as the great route across our continent. Today, you have made that prophecy a fact. This is the way to India!
Thank you, General Dodge. Ladies and gentlemen, that moment for which you and the entire nation have been waiting. The driving of the last spike is at hand. At this time, we wish to commend both railroad companies and their workers for their efficiency and hard work in bringing this monumental undertaking to its successful fruition in a record 6½ years instead of the 12 years allotted to the venture. A final presentation will be made in the form of a silver-plated spike mall by Mr. L.W. Coe, President of the Pacific Union Express Company, after which Governor Stanford and Dr. Durant will make a few ceremonial taps on the precious metal spikes with the mall. Mr. Coe.
Railroad officials, honored guests, and friends, it is the honor of the officers and workers of the Pacific Union Railroad Company to add their congratulations upon the completion of this modern-day miracle. This silver-plated spike mall is symbolic of our good wishes.
Perhaps we need a real railroad worker up here to make this star job done. Here we go. Drive her home.
Promontory to the country. Bulletin D O N E done.